Morning, my dear children. I hope you all are fine. Today in this session, we will learn English. First language, Unit 4. Name of the lesson is My Point of View. Over 100 UFOs sighted in India. This is the article written from the newspaper, that is on 5th November 2012. It is taken from New Delhi, and the agency's name is PTI. Army troops in India have reported more than 100 sightings of unidentified flying objects. That is the full form of UFOs. In the last 3 months, agencies including the Army, DRDO, NTRO and the ITBP have not yet been able to identify these luminous flying objects. Some local people believe they are extraterrestrials who have come to the earth from outer space. Army officials said that the 17 Corps has sent reports to the Army headquarters about the sightings of UFOs by an ITBP unit. Reports suggested that these yellowish spheres appear to lift off from the horizon and slowly traverse the sky for 3 to 5 hours before disappearing. They travel in the sky for 3 to 5 hours and then they disappear. The officials confirmed that these UFOs were not planes or satellites. They said Army had also moved a mobile ground-based radar unit and a spectrum analyzer to verify the identity of the object, but could not detect the object that was being tracked visually, indicating it was non-metallic. This was not identified by radar also, just it was giving the message that it is non-metallic, so it cannot be captured in the radar also. Army officials expressed concern over the inability of agencies to identify the objects. Some believed they could be surveillance equipment or weather instruments. Sources said that similar reports were made 5 or 6 years ago about sightings of such objects, but the matter was never taken up at higher levels. You can see over here the picture is given. One disc type object is flying in the sky and it is unidentified. You cannot identify that what is this item flying in the sky. Although UFO just means that a flying object has not been identified, many people think of UFOs as spaceship that come from outer space bringing intelligent beings. They call these being extraterrestrials, means they are from outer side. We know for sure that UFOs exist because UFO simply means objects in the sky that we can't identify when we first see them. But we do not know if extraterrestrials exist. People have many different points of view about extraterrestrials. The 2012 DNA article, over 100 UFOs sighted in India. Total near about 100 of this type of things were sighted in India. Mentions several different points of view about the possible identification of UFOs. UFOs in India, planes or planets? There is a big question mark that which type of things were these. We cannot judge surely. India News Today published on July 26, 2013. From this article is given. New Delhi BBC News reported Friday that the Indian Army reportedly has spent 6 months watching what they thought might be airplanes or satellites. Now it appears that they may have been watching the rising and setting each night of Jupiter and Venus. Now the conclusion by this news reporter by Army was that it might be the rising and setting of the two planets that are Jupiter and Venus. According to the Calcutta-based newspaper, Telegraph authorities say 329 sightings of unidentified objects were documented over a lake in the patrolled region between last August and February. Military sources say, now different views are given by the different groups. Now military sources say the objects seem to regularly rise from the horizon and slowly cross the sky. Army Line Nayak Manmohan Singh reported that he had noticed a delay of 4 minutes in the appearance of one of the objects each consecutive day. After every 4 minutes, this object is being seen, and daily he observed. Singh also said that the objects seemed to be the brightest lights in the sky and always appear to move with respect to the stars. Army officials asked the Indian Institute of Astrophysics, Bangalore, to identify the objects. Our task was to determine whether these unidentified objects were celestial or terrestrial. Astronomer Tushar Prabhu told the newspaper. The IIAP team told the army how to record data about the sightings. Using this data as a source of information, the team of astronomers concluded that the objects observed were the planets Jupiter and Venus. The IIAP team said stars and planets over the horizon appear very bright because of increased atmospheric transparency at the high altitude, and that both Jupiter and Venus at the time were the brightest planets in the sky. But not everyone accepts the IIAP findings. They were not ready to accept. Local farmers have said that they have videotaped objects that do not seem to be planets. UFO experts are saying that there have been so many UFO sightings in the area that there may be an underground UFO base in the area. The interviewer asked Dr. Sagan to give his views on the existence of intelligent extraterrestrials and the many sightings and reports from people who say that they have seen this being on Earth. Carl Sagan personally have been captured by the notion of extraterrestrials' life and especially extraterrestrial intelligence from childhood. It swept me up, and I have been involved in sending spacecraft to nearby planets to look for life and in the radio search for extraterrestrial intelligence. You can see over here the pic of Carl Sagan is given. He has written his personal experience, what he has felt. If we found intelligent life on other planets, it would be an absolutely transforming event in human history. But the stakes are so high on whether it's true or false that we must demand the more rigorous standards of evidence. We have to be very careful. He even says frequently, how could he search for extraterrestrial intelligence and disbelieve that we are being visited? He don't see any contradiction at all. The interviewer asked Dr. Sagan to comment on the stories that people have told of being abducted or kidnapped by extraterrestrials. He was asked if these people have provided strong evidence for extraterrestrials having visited on the Earth. Carl Sagan is almost entirely anecdote. Someone says something happened to them and people can say anything. The fact that someone says something doesn't mean it's true. To be taken seriously, you need physical evidence that can be examined by a skeptical scientist. For example, a scrapping of the whole ship and the discovery that it contains elements that don't exist on the Earth. But there is no scrapping for or other evidence. All there are stories. There are instances of disturbed soil, but I can disturb soil with a shovel. There are instances of people claiming to flash lights at UFOs and the UFOs flash back also. They back answer. But pilots of airplanes can also flash back, especially if they think it would be a good joke to play on the UFO enthusiast, so that does not constitute good evidence. The universe is such a huge place that many people think there must be other life somewhere in it just because it's so huge. The universe is so huge that it must be measured in light years. Light is the fastest thing we know. It travels at 299,792,458 meters per second. Our sun is 8.33 light minutes away, meaning it takes the light from the sun 8.33 minutes to reach us. Imagine how far away a light year must be. Most distant part of the universe that scientists have evidence of comes from light that has taken 14 billion years to reach us. It is 14 billion light years away, and there may be many more universes farther away than that. As Carl Sagan said, somehow, somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known. Imagine what incredible beings might live 14 billion light years away from us. They would live so far away that it would take 14 billion years for the light from their sun to reach Earth. What might these beings look like? What abilities would they have? Are they intelligent? Do they have language? Do they have homes or shelters? What would they like? What would they need? Do they eat? Do they have emotions? These all are the questions in our mind, that what is existing in the huge universe. 1 light second is this much kilometers. 1 light minute is this much kilometers. You can see over here the chart is the nearest star is Proxima Centauri and it's 4.243 light years away from the Earth.